Hello everybody, I'm Matthew Heines for Deceptions of the Ages News. Now most of you know it by now, but those of you who don't, I'm running for governor of Washington State. And I apologize for using this channel to promote my campaign, but this is so important, our very lives depend on it. So I hope you'll bear with me, and in trade, I'll skip my snazzy introduction. Hello everybody, I'm Matthew Heines and I'm running for governor of Washington State. I'd like to talk to you for just a few minutes, and so if you'd bear with me, I'd like to talk to you first of all about why I'm running for governor. I'd like to talk to you about the specific things that we must do now, or we're not going to have a state or a country left. And finally, I'm going to talk to you about how I'm going to need to finance my campaign. Now, I'm down to the crunch time. I've got 1 week to raise enough money to get onto the ballot for Washington State. So right now, I've been running, I've been campaigning since February, March, and so I've been trying to educate people with my YouTube channel, with my Facebook page, and so right now we're getting down to crunch time. We're going to be talking about my campaign financing a little bit later, but right now I just want to say that I don't ask people for money, and I'll explain why later, but I really don't. But I'm going to need some help and some support, so we'll talk about that at the end of the video. So right now I want to talk to you about why I am so different than other candidates. First of all, you're going to see that I have pretty long hair. Now the reason I have long hair actually is because the last time I ran for office, I went to the barber and I went to one of these cheap haircut places, and I told him that I was running for office. I told him I was running for the Senate. And so she just butchered me. I mean, I looked like I was a lawn with with a broken mower had cut it. And I told that woman, I said, hey, I'm running as a Republican. I didn't want to look like one. I want to talk about why I'm also so different. You're probably not going to see me wearing these shark skin suits. You know, we've killed a lot of people and we've lost a lot of money and treasure to guys in shark skin suits. If you're going to vote for a suit, then vote for a suit. I'll bring a suit with me and hang it on a hanger if that's important to you. But I'm here to work, so I wear clothes that I'm comfortable in, and I'm comfortable campaigning in my shirt, and it also, you know, helps you understand where you can help to support my campaign. All right, now, when I'm going to start talking about what I'd like to do for governor, so here we go. The first thing I want to do is I want to tear up every piece of legislation Jay Inslee has signed the very first week. We're going to do just what Donald Trump did. We're going to sit down and we're going to tear up every piece of legislation. So what does that mean? That means that you not only have to vote for me, you have to vote for legislators that are going to support my programs, that are going to support what we, the people of Washington State, want, and not what the Democratic Party wants, not what the Republican Party wants, not what Bill Gates wants, and not what Jeff Bezos wants. We're going to do, excuse me, what the people of Washington State want. The next thing we need to talk about is there are so many issues that they are not paying any attention to. Number one is plastics. Now, I know people are saying, oh, global warming this, global warming that. Maybe that's the sun, maybe that's permafrost melting, etc., and putting methane in the air. Maybe it's all the cows farting. I don't know, but what is really a problem are plastics, and nobody's paying any attention to that. And all the liberals in Washington State, this place is a trash heap. These liberals just go around throwing their trash left and right. The highways are cluttered. Everything is cluttered. We have had these really nice bike trails. Now homeless people just crap on them and pee on them, and they're dangerous to even use. So this is what the Democrats have done in Washington State, and I'm going to change it. We're going to clean up the state, and it's all going to go back to the way it was. All right, now, I want people to understand, and this might freak people out, but I firmly believe being poor, it is not a crime to be poor. Now, I believe that we should have a higher wage higher minimum wage. I believe that people who work for big corporations at 500 plus employees and at the corporation, they should pay $20 an hour. And why? Because people who make that much money are not going to save it. They are going to spend it. They are going to stimulate the economy. Now, people want you to believe that debt is great. Who wants you to believe that? The people loaning the money. They own the banks, they own the TV stations, they own everything, and all they do is constantly bombard you with the idea that debt is good, your ability to go into debt is great for you. But I'm going to tell you a new mantra, and that is, if you give the working man more money to spend, he will invest it, he will save it, and he will stimulate the economy more than anybody. And you say, oh, how can we do that? How can we spend trillions of dollars on the gun runners and the armaments industry? Now, I'm an ex-paratrooper, but it's gone too far. When you have families that are making not enough money to live off of in the United States, and you have CEOs making hundreds of millions of dollars. No, we're going to change that. And especially in Washington State, where Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos have all of this money just sitting there, in which they go around messing up the world and causing problems. Well, you're going to have to share some of that money with us, because as Huey Long once said, who would sit at a table and keep all the food for themselves? You got to spread some of that chow around. All right, so it's not a crime to be poor. We need higher wages, and we need to get rid of the idea that debt is good. Okay, again, I want to ask people, even if I don't win the election, please don't throw your trash out. I love this state. This state is so beautiful, and all of the ecosystems around the state, from Alaska all the way down to Chile, they depend on our fish, they depend on our plankton, they depend on our seaweed, they depend on everything. We have to protect this so we can protect and help the people all up and down the coast. And that also means we'd like to get China to quit dumping their crap and do something about the radiation coming out of Japan, I guess. All right, so the next thing I want to talk to you about is that I do not believe that it is the job of the government to just make more money for lawyers. Now, I don't have to say too much about it, but you know as well as I do, every time legislation is passed, it is passed to simply make more money for lawyers, because every solution is convoluted, and every time somebody goes to court, it costs millions or billions, and who keeps the money? The lawyers. Well, we need to put an end to that, and we need an income tax on certain attorneys. We need to fix our schools. Our teachers should not be hired for political reasons. Our teachers should not be teaching political dogma. They should be teaching what they are paid to teach. And as governor, I will spot inspect schools on a weekly basis to make sure that our kids are learning. And I'm going to go around asking them questions, and I'm going to see what the result of their teaching experience and learning experience is. I want to partner parents with our schools. This idea that opponents or parents and schools should be opposed to each other is ridiculous. We're all working for a great future. So parents and schools, we need to find a way to have a common meeting ground. And one thing that we need to do in the schools is stop doing things that most people find repulsive and disgusting and frankly illegal as far as I'm concerned. Okay, two more things. We need to stop hemorrhaging money. Things like Jay Inslee's disgraceful campaign for president. All of these lawsuits against the federal government. These are millions of dollars that could go to help poor people in Washington State. Where's it going? It's going to the attorneys. All right. And to Jay Inslee's bodyguards, because people hate him so much he has to have them with him all the time. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about, and this goes with, we need to establish English as a the state language because we need to stop hemorrhaging money, and we can't translate into every language for every person that the United States allows in here. If you come to the United States, if you come to Washington, you should speak English, and that goes for the schools as well. All right. I mean, how can you teach if the people in your school don't speak English? Now, I spent years teaching English as a foreign language. I know what the issues are. So don't sit there and call me a racist, whatever. Read my books. All right. So the last thing I want to do is grant labor cards to all migrant workers. This way you can come and go as you please, and your employer will be on the hook for any expenses such as welfare, civil liabilities, lawsuits, whatever. We will give you labor cards and you can come and go, and we're happy to have our migrant workers, and we're very proud of you and to bring your culture and share that with us. All right, so now I need to talk to you about the campaign up to now. I've been running for about 4 months. I've basically run a lot of YouTube channel videos, and people have been able to understand my policies, what I think about, where I come from. If you don't, go back and look at my YouTube channel. Now, before, when I ran for the Senate in 2018, we spent all of our money on our campaign. And so really we're still paying that off. And so there's just no way. It costs $2,000 and some dollars to run. And so because I was going to try to get signatures, I can't get any answer from the state of Washington during this crisis. How do I get my signatures if I can't go talk to people and have them sign my petition? So, I mean, I could go to jail for that. I cannot, the reason that we didn't have, or we financed our campaign ourselves, I grew up poor. It's very hard for me to ask people for money. It's hard for me to ask you for money right now. But what I want to do is just say this. This is my book, Deceptions of the Ages. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever, iTunes, Kindle. It's available everywhere. You can go to HEINESSIGHT.com and buy it there. I need to sell. To stay into the campaign, I need to sell about maybe 800 of these books in a week. In 1 week, I need to sell 800 of these books. So if you would like to support me, I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not asking you to give me anything. I'm just saying you buy a book and educate yourself, and you'll be supporting my campaign. As I said, it's very hard for me to ask people for money, especially during these times. Now, the second reason it's hard for me to ask people for money, and why you should buy this book, buy any of my books, because I don't have any strings attached to me. Every candidate you're looking at has attachments to corporations, oil companies, you name it. People, it's going to be people you don't like. My only attachment ever, if I ever get into office, is to the people and my constituents of whom I represent. So I've got 5 days, you guys. On Friday is the closing day. So I'm going to ask you one more time. I have 7 books for sale on all of my Amazons, etc. I'd like you to read this book, Deceptions of the Ages. And the reason I'd like you to read it is because if you read it, I promise you, you will vote for me in every election. So that's it, you guys. Remember, this is not a vote for me. This election is not about me. It's not about anybody else. This election is about you and your children. And right now as we speak, they are spending your children and your grandchildren's inheritance. They are taking away their rights. They're going to make sure they grow up in a country where you can just come and be taken and put away and nobody ever heard from you again. Now, if that's not acceptable to you, you vote for me, because I'm going to fight back. Otherwise, accept your fate and live with it. I'm Matthew Heines. I'm running for governor of Washington State. I got 5 days left in the campaign to make $2,000. please go to HEINESSIGHT.com or Amazon.com and buy my books. I'll leave the links in the description. Thank you. God bless you all, and thank you everybody who supported me this far and who has subscribed.